12.
Welcome, Andy.
Hi. Just thought
doing?
I'd join you today.
Yeah.
Figured I'd come in. Hey, everybody, how are you doing? Hanging out?
Yeah, real good.
Yeah.
Getting towards the end of this whole series for SaaS Coach.
That's right. We are closing up 10 principles.
Yep.
And which principle are we on?
Talking about search optimization.
But it's principle 10.
Principle number 10.
We're 10 out of 10. So
10
we are
10.
definitely here at the end of this. And we've been talking about a lot of fun stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for those that may have just tuned in,
Yep.
what have we, what is this whole series about? What have we been talking about? Why are we doing this?
The big thing is for conversions, right? We're trying to implement different steps that someone can take with their SaaS website to improve conversions. So get better results, get more results at existing sites.
That's definitely it. And so we've been doing this great series. We have this white paper, the 10 principles to increasing conversion for SaaS websites. You can download it, go back and look at all the shows that we've done. And what have we talked about? Things like image optimization and scanning content and having multiple conversion actions and all of these different things that truly do come back to driving increased conversion. And we've said it multiple times, but I really do think if you very simply just go through these 10 principles, enact a couple of them on your site, you will see the impact in the results that you're getting with your SaaS or software or even product device website. This stuff is pretty universal. We have made it very specific to software and SaaS, but it is universal stuff that's really powerful for increasing conversion, that's for sure.
Try it out, test, and check your analytics. Because that's how the only way you're really going to know if it's working or not.
We've said that multiple times, is you got to test and test and test. But today, we're talking all about search optimization. This is a fun topic for me. I do a lot of seminars on search optimization, so I could literally talk for hours. We're not gonna do that though.
There's so much to it.
There is a lot to search. There really is, and I think today what our goal is really to provide some high-level information that can really help people understand the concept of search, because it can feel amorphous at times. Understand the concept of search, really get a couple quick tips, and then even dive into a few things for how software companies are unique to search optimization and can leverage that. So we've got some fun stuff to talk about.
Sounds great.
Let's dive in. So the big thing that I like to talk to people about when it comes to search optimization is there's two primary factors, quality and relevancy. And there's a reason that those are so important. So, the thing that I like people to do is step back and think about the business model here, is that Google is really trying to get more traffic to their site because they know that 18 to 20% of people are going to click on the ads, and those ads make billions and billions of dollars for them.
That's by far where they make most of their money.
100%. That's how they built their business, and they still make a ton of money.
It all comes back to those ads.
And so it comes back to those ads, like you're saying, and now they've got them across mobile and all these different channels, but it comes back to the advertising. And so what you have to think about is their goal is that if they know they have a percentage of people that are going to click on ads, they want more people to do searches. And so the way that they get more people to do searches is by providing quality and relevancy. If I go do a search and I've got a problem for something, and I search in Google and it answers my question right away, it gets me exactly what I'm looking for, then I'm more likely to come back next time I have a problem and start at Google and use that as my source. And so for them, there is this inherent desire that they truly do. They have no interest in specific brands being higher than others. There's nothing behind that. It's more they want to deliver the best results because that means a better experience, and then people keep coming back, and then there's more people clicking on ads, and their stakeholders are then very happy because their revenues are going up. And so
and if anyone's been involved, kind of worked on SEO and paid attention over the years, right? It used to be all kind of all this gamification, right?
The
All this
black
stuff,
hat.
all this black hat stuff that you could do that was really just gaming the system.
Right.
And now Google gets it so much that really it's about putting the best content out there, and that's how it works. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
There's ways that you can kind of benchmark and do that, but it used to be like loading up on keywords and hiding them in same text colors or background. It doesn't work anymore, because if I find that if I'm doing a search and that's the result I get, I'm going to bounce,
right?
Because it's garbage, right? So
yeah, and that black hat stuff doesn't work. And if you've got an SEO firm that's talking about doing some of those sneaky things, trust me, it doesn't work anymore. And so again, I'm going to go back to the two big things: quality and relevancy. To Google, if they can deliver quality results and relevant results, that means that they're hitting that end goal that we talked about.
Absolutely.
So how do we judge quality and relevancy? So the nice thing is that we can really quantify this stuff and turn it into real things that we can look at to improve on the site. So on the quality side, what we typically look at are things like the depth of the content. Google is tending to look at content that has over 1,500 words, or at least has signals in the writing and the way that it's done to show depth and that there's actual value there. And they've got a lot of interesting things in their algorithms that help determine that, of writing style, amount of content, usage of words, all these things that AI and these other technologies are now able to scan and really understand that there is true depth there.
And I think that's something that over the last few years has become more important, more long-form content, right? Because people want to get to something that's more in depth. If I'm looking for something, I kind of want an article or whatever it is that really goes into not just an overview. I want something that dives pretty deep.
There is a reverse to that now they've got the simple questions where they're looking for answers, and Google is pulling stuff out. The snippets, and that's a different strategy.
Sure.
But nonetheless, they want depth and quality as a signal for quality, rather than just very short stuff that's high level and doesn't have a lot of depth to it. One of the other signals with that tends to be media. So are you including things like video, what we're doing now? Are you including images and other media presentations, things that send signals that there is more than just a bunch of text there, that there's more engagement to it? Outbound links. So on a page, are you linking to other sources on the web? For Google to look at an article and say, okay, it's quality because they are linking to other sources that we've also determined are quality and have quality information.
So it's not just those outbound links, it's the quality of those
100%. It's the quality of those that you really want to link to other sites that are producing good content or have high ranking or whatever it might be. Bounce rate is a high one of quality. So, for those of you that don't know bounce rate, someone searches something, they click on that link, and do they go to the page and leave right away? They bounce off. And so Google is able to determine that. If there's high bounce rates and you're the #1 listing for a search, but everyone's coming there and they're hitting the page and they're leaving within a second, then obviously that's a signal that it's not quality or there's some other issue. Speed has become a huge one, especially with mobile, is that people want sites to move quickly. The last thing that Google wants to give their users an experience of is click on that first result and forever. And so they're really judging speed as one of these major quality factors. Social signals. So are people sharing this? Has it been shared before? Is it being mentioned on different social media platforms? If we see a lot of activity in the social sphere, that is a signal that this is a quality piece of content. And so that's why for companies, social media does become a powerful tool. And then the last one is inbound links. And basically what that is if you've got links coming from other websites into this page or article or whatever you've got, that is a signal that it's quality, because if other people are referencing it, then there must be value there.
And to those last 2 points, the social signals and inbound links, this stuff could get a little overwhelming, intimidating. I like to think of it as social signals. If you create a great article that's useful to people, what do people tend to do? Talk about it, share it, right? So anybody can do that on social. And if you had something really good out there, It'd be weird if there was no mentions of it, right? And then the same thing is the inbound links. That's basically like a recommendation. Again, if you put out good quality content, people who have sites, who have blogs, they're probably going to link out, and recommend people, send people your way. If it's not quality, or people aren't going to do that. So those are the two that sometimes some of the technical stuff gets a little bit confusing, but it's really pretty.
And I talk about value being the center point. Like if you can truly create value, solve a problem, entertain someone, these things that really people value, that is the centerpiece, and you get a couple benefits out of it. One, if it's valuable, it's going to be mentioned in other people's blogs. They're going to reference it because they're going to say, okay, here's my topic, but this article or video is valuable and backs up my point. Or people are going to share it because it's valuable. But the other thing that we get out of it is brand equity. So that if I actually go to the page and I read this article and it truly solves my problem and gives me information that's valuable and I really can get something out of, I now feel good about the brand that I went and saw that on. Versus, think about it, if you create stuff that is crappy, doesn't have a lot of value to it, and I go to that site and read that article and I go, any Joe could have wrote that, like, big deal, like, no, that didn't answer my question, that's not that insightful. When they go up and look at that logo, now what's their brand equity? It's very low. It's okay, these guys, they know what they're talking about, but this wasn't that insightful. Versus, again, if they go there and it's like, wow, these guys really know what they're talking about, this is fantastic, and I'm even going to share it. That core of value really builds on this. And these other signals like speed and bounce rate and depth and media, they're just quantitative ways to help measure value. But the other ways with the social signals and inbound links are proof that it's valuable because other people are saying
That's a good way of putting it, is proof, that validation from others.
So you've got kind of these basic signals, but then you've got truly like outside references that something is valuable. So that's the quality side. The other side is really relevancy. So Google wants to make sure they're producing quality content on their listings, but then they want it relevant to what someone's searching, obviously. And so the things that we typically see there are like key phrase focus. Are we on a specific term? One of the tactics is that you don't want a page that's talking about 10 different topics. You want a page that has one very narrow focus. And so that's where relevancy comes in, is that, if you're creating this really high quality page and it's about one very specific thing, then it's obviously quality and relevant for what that person's searching. Key phrase hierarchy, so is it included in like the H1, H2, H3 tags, and really being shown as something that it's part of the main messages as well as the content of it. Outbound link topic, so are you linking out to these? We talked about that in quality, is that we're linking out to other sites, but are you linking to articles of a similar topic? And so that's really important. Site focus, again, if we're a marketing site and we're talking about SEO, the overall topic of the site is going to impact that article. But if if our site's about a completely different topic and we've got this article, it's not going to provide as much relevancy. So the overall site focus, URL structure, when you see URLs, what are the key phrases that are in there or in your domain? Title and metadata, so what's that title on the page? Metadata isn't as important as it used to be. The title still is very important. And one of the reasons I actually think title is extremely important is that that's what typically gets shared or linked. And so then Google, when they're on another website, the text of the link ends up being the title of the article. So it's both that Google looks at it, but also it impacts those external signals as well. And then finally, inbound link topic. So if other sites are linking to us, is an article about search optimization linking to this video about search optimization. That tells Google that this is relevant towards that topic. And so really, there are hundreds and hundreds of factors that impact your rank. Things like domain age could potentially do it. That's a debatable topic. There's other little factors. that really go into it. But I believe that if you really look at things from this quality and relevancy, and you meet a number of these criteria in what you're creating, that's where you're going to get huge impact on rank.
Everyone always is worried when they're focusing on SEO if they're going to get slapped by Google, right? The next algorithm update. I don't think if you produce quality content and relevant content to your audience, you're never going to be really affected. I mean, not to say you can't move up and down a little bit, but if that's where you focus as opposed to tactical things that kind of change over time, you're going to be pretty safe there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I mean, even if you look at some of the releases of their algorithm, it's things like, focused on mobile optimization and speed.
Security.
Yeah, exactly. Security is another great one. And really that, those are things that are still quality and relevancy signals. And so if we're following that, and usually for big things like that, mobile first or security, we have a long time that Google's telling us this is something that you should be thinking about. And so you really already should be hopefully upgrading your site and making improvements to meet that criteria without it being something that all of a sudden you're going to get hit one day and it destroys you.
I actually think a lot of the things that we talked about actually bode well, because what a lot of the things we're talking about is sites that really get people to take action and engage with, scannable content, all that kind of stuff. So if visitors are doing that, that's actually sending signals already to Google that this is good.
Low bounce rates.
Yeah, exactly. So it's part of the whole plan. So this isn't a whole new topic. It just goes along with that as well.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like to look at is, some of the topics we talked about, having scannability and multiple conversions. That's for people that are early in the buying cycle that aren't ready yet, and they're really just looking for high-level information.
Sure.
What articles do, they're kind of a different strategy to me. They're trying to get somebody in, and so we talk about people don't read a lot on like the main pages of a website. That's different when you're trying to solve a problem or do some due diligence or learn something or be entertained. And so there are different strategies. A lot of people come to me and say, oh, you keep saying, well, people don't read and you want your site to be scannable. Well, yeah, when they're reading your about page or your product page, you want it easy for them to find the information that they're looking for. But on a page like this, you want to provide depth. That doesn't mean it shouldn't be scannable. Trust me, when we create content, it's a lot about headlines and tables of contents and having hierarchy, that if someone still wants to scan a 3,000 word article, they could scan and find what they're looking for very quickly.
Yeah. I think that goes to just the fact that there's no shortage of information. And so people that are kind of in that, searching and researching phase early on, they're not going to go deep into anything. They need something to really resonate with them. But then when they're ready, when they find a few different sites, they're going to maybe open that tab up or bookmark it and come back to it later. And then they're ready to go deep. They still need to get all that detail when they're ready at that phase. But that's where your buyers are, the people that are going to really look and spend some time.
Well, I think, something that we did mention and we really should have at the beginning is I am a huge believer that search drives a ton of business.
Yeah,
we've seen it for our own business. We've seen it for our clients. And you still see that that's where people start. Whether it's now getting into voice search or they're searching on mobile, but that's where they start. They search a problem that they're having, and the great opportunity is that we present something that's quality and relevant. They find it, and then we have an action that says download the white paper or sign up for our demo because we've explained the concept well. It really does work. And it moves away from that model of advertising you're trying to shove in front of people, get them at the right time and hope that it hits, even if you're targeting really well. Search is one of those things that people are going out and looking for an answer. And our product, our software, our device could be the answer to that problem. We are just using content to help explain how or provide some insight.
Yeah, and I think something that we see is the inbound leads we get, people that have gone through our content, they want our help. They're trusting because we've already proven our knowledge and our expertise, and they're saying, hey, you work with companies like us because we need your help, as opposed to, oh, I don't know about these. It's a different...
Yeah, and it's that brand equity thing. If they went
Totally.
there and they, got some value out of it, we've seen that.
Yeah.
They read through it and they said, you guys know what you're talking about. I have to do business with you. So it can really create that demand that you're looking for, so that when someone gets into the sales process or whatever it might be, there's already that desire that they've got set up. Just some other quick tips. 301 redirects. I want to make sure we mention this because it's so important. If you're creating a new website and you're changing your URLs, what Google looks for is a 301 redirect that says this old page is now in this location. And if you don't do that, what we've seen is agencies won't do it and they're wiped out of the search engine. It's gone.
Those rankings that were really important to you that you were getting leads from, gone. Just
it's crazy. XML sitemaps. This submits to Google and says, here are the pages of our site. Code minification, that gets into speed. You can basically, especially our tech crowd will know this, take code that's lines and lines and kind of minify it down by taking out spaces. Image optimization, making sure you're doing that. Content marketing, which gets into creating good content. And then social sharing. We have a lot of clients that sometimes debate whether social is a great channel for them. Well, if you're building all this fantastic content that's quality and relevant, and you need some social signals, and you want people to link into it, well, you got to share it.
Yeah.
And so building those networks, having 10,000 people on Facebook or 15,000 on Twitter, those are instant audiences that this great content can go out to and potentially drive those social shares and those inbound links without a lot of effort. So
users are all different too, so like some people are more inclined to go and do a YouTube search for something, right? The second most popular search engine, and then other people are going to ask friends on Facebook when they're looking for something. Yes, Google is kind of the big one. Most people go and search, but by putting it out in different places, the different social channels, you want to cover that. I mean, if you're creating content, why not syndicate it and get it everywhere so people could find it easily?
I mean, it's an instant audience. I mean, the idea of building these different channels up for us is that then we have people that we can instantly get it out to. Our email lists especially, if we're building that and especially segmented, and then we've got all these social followers. Imagine I create this great article and within a day I can get it out to 15,000 people. That's powerful and put a lot more value into the time and effort I put into creating something great. So just a quick summary before we move on. Quality, relevancy. If you hit those two things, you're going to kill it in the search engines. Next, this kind of gets to what we just talked about. I think one of the things that we deal with is that balance between user experience and search optimization. As a great example, we recently had a client explain my single product. That can be interesting and valuable, and you can create a good user experience because now people scroll down. You can make it really scannable. But from a search optimization standpoint, it reduces relevancy because you're taking multiple topics and putting them on one page. It reduces some of those other signals because it's going to load to create a simple site like we've talked about that people on average only visit a couple of pages. They scan. We want to get them quickly into an action, and balancing that with building out search optimization. For me, there are two different strategies on kind of your sales site and what you're doing from that perspective versus what you're doing with SEO, which includes landing pages, content marketing, and some of those other strategies. And so really, this is just a key within our guide to talk about, there has to be that balance. You can't be completely on the user experience conversion side where you're not thinking about search, but you also can't be all about search where you have a million pages that have tons of great content, but you haven't thought about those people and how they're going to convert.
It's hard to find, hard to navigate, even like the writing for the site, right? You could do that. You can hire an SEO copywriter and they're going to plug in a bunch of keywords and stuff, and while those might get indexed well, if people have a hard time following and understanding the article, then it's going to hurt it. So it really is the balance. There's not a
Yeah, and on
There's
those
a
main
silver
pages, I always avoid, I don't think we should write for ability. It takes away from, getting people moving through that process of conversion. And so we write for SEO in different times. We should write for conversion when we're on our main pages of our site, like a features page or an about page or whatever it might be. So the last thing that I thought I'd share is, really, we've got this great article, 9 search optimization tips for software and SaaS. And I'm just going to bring up the top of it real quickly, because what I think could be valuable for people, we'll kind of scan through this, but there's 9 great little tips here. And so they can probably search this 9 search optimization tips for SaaS and they'll find it. But just some of the things that I thought should be mentioned, for software companies specifically, documentation and APIs, that can be great content because it can be in-depth, it can provide value, talk about the challenges that someone faces, or even the systems that they integrate. And so if someone's searching, does Basecamp integrate with a CRM, and we've got documentation or APIs that talk about that, that is content that solves a problem, and it's actually relevant and could be quality for somebody, but drives them into our product. So we have to think about things like documentations and APIs. Trend reports are really good, especially if you've got different industries that you focus on, talking about the trends both in your industry, but also your target customer's industry and how that relates to your software product. And so really looking at content like that can be very valuable outside of just search. New feature announcements is another one. You've got all these new features you're rolling out, you're in that agile development model, and you're pushing new stuff out every month. Well, this is a great opportunity to talk about, this is the new feature and how it solves X problem for our customers, and hopefully they're searching that problem and saying, how do I add a date to my task to do X, or how can I be more efficient in, whatever. And basically, hopefully that new feature announcement answers that question because that's what you were trying to drive.
Sometimes that could be a challenge when you're creating, a content calendar or whatever, getting real specific. So the relevance, like focusing on relevance. But with new product features, that's something that's pretty focused. So going in, explaining that, talking about what it solves, it's a great point.
And I think if you look at smart SaaS companies, what they tend to do is they don't launch truly versions where there's a bunch of stuff. A lot of times you'll see them now launching features. We just released this feature into our software. You'll start seeing it roll out across different customers, but then they're talking about that feature because that is great for your existing customers to send out on the list, to get promotion, maybe some referral, get them re-engaged. It's great content for search optimization, great content for social media. I mean, these are powerful things. So if you position the way that you launch your software right, it can be great for marketing and SEO and a lot of that stuff. Guest blogging is another one. Can you bring people in, especially customers, to talk about their experience? If I have a project management system, can you come and get my director of operations to write an article about how we've made our organization more efficient using your software? That's a great opportunity that's kind of like a testimonial. And then that company too can get some value out of search by getting some inbound links into their own. So there's ways that you can do quid pro quo if you want. I know, shouldn't say that word. Quid pro quo to get some of that or whatever it might be. Directories and review sites for software companies, there are tons of those out there. Product Hunt and others. Those are great ways to just make sure that if someone's doing a search or doing their research, even if your site doesn't come up, a lot of times those directories will. And so it's important to make sure that you're listed there. I kind of think of it like real estate. Are you going out and getting your real estate or not, and having that property that you can build upon in the future. I've always said that with social media accounts is when you start a business, go out, even if you're not going to use them all, register the name so that you own your real estate, and then in the future you can figure out what do we need to build on.
Sure.
Playing a little monopoly there. And then really just, again, this article gets into things like what softwares can you use, how do you target, creating landing pages, which is so important. So I just thought that this was another valuable resource for people to go check out, is these 9 search optimization tips.
And I'll just add that we've had a lot of success in our SEO efforts with these type of articles. So if you want to take away a way to structure, to go deep, table of contents, the way it's even laid out and all that.
Yeah, I mean,
you can kind of borrow that and
this is a great reference because you can see things like right away we've got outbound links, that are talking. We've got our table of contents. We've got conversions that are up here, and then it's very scannable. That if I want to go through this chapter 1, I can kind of see links. I'm getting graphics in here. We're going down, and it's got depth to it, quotes. I mean, there's just a ton of great stuff, and I think you're right that even our own articles that get a lot of shares, some of them way more than others, this is a great place to start and look. So,
good stuff.
Yeah, tons of things about SEO. I even think we just scratched the surface.
Totally.
I mean, there is so much that you can do, but for me, it comes back to this. SEO to me is one of the most powerful tools for marketing. If you can build organic traffic, you can get people that are out there looking for a solution, and they're ready to buy, they're ready to solve a problem, and you can be the first one that they see. You can provide value and then actions for them to move into your business, and you can grow and scale that over time. Man, is that powerful. And what we've seen with even some of our articles is that it's not just a quick hit like you do an ad campaign for 30 days. We've seen ones that for 3 years have consistently produced results for us in bringing in the right customers. And so it is really a strategy that can pay off in so many different layers. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't always mean that you can do all of it internally yourself. It's not always super fast. Like ads, you can just pay money and be at the top. Search is a long-term game,
for sure.
But man, is it one of the most powerful tools to grow and scale a business. And so I think combined with the rest of our principles, the other 9 that really focused on conversion, if you add this one in, now you've got a powerful engine to grow your business.
Totally.
So really cool. And that's our 10 principles.
That's it.
Yeah, we're done.
Drop the mic.
Oh, I thought we were going to go for this.
Do that too.
Quid pro quo on the, fist bump there.
Now they got us on video now. Quid pro quo.
Yeah, I know. So I think we're going to do one more episode just to kind of summarize everything.
Yeah. Recap everything.
Recap.
If you haven't gotten the download by now, go get it at SaaS.coach. You get your 10 principles there. You can follow along. You can implement them. You can refer back, obviously, to the videos that are at the site.
And then we're going to start a whole new series. And we're going to be talking about retention, because retention is such a big topic for software companies, is that we really want to reduce churn. You don't want to sign people up, get them in, whether to trials or into purchasing, but then lose them. And that is a killer. The number one thing that tends to destroy software companies is a high churn rate. So we really want to dedicate a whole nother series like we've done here specifically to this retention topic and how we can improve that and make sure that we're keeping people in. So that should be a great series. This was pretty fantastic. We'll see you next week, I guess.
Be sure to like, follow, share, tell your friends.
Share. Yeah, please.
Awesome.
And we'll see you guys at SaaS Coach next Wednesday. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.
Bye.